Have you ever experienced any type of paranormal before and haven't told anyone because you fear that they might call you crazy? Or have you ever experienced any type of bizarre dreams or know things before they even happen and you're just like, wait a minute, am I going crazy? Or maybe I might just be Neo from the Matrix. Now, what if I told you that those may be psychic abilities and there's a way that you can find them in your natal chart? And maybe, just maybe, you are not going crazy, and maybe, just maybe, you might be Neo from the Matrix. Let me stop. But no, for real, it might be psychic abilities. And I am someone who has experienced a lot of stuff in my life. And at first, I thought I was going crazy. But then I learned that those are just psychic abilities. And I was able to indicate them in my natal chart. So, to help the next person out, because I know what it's like to feel like you're going crazy and nobody understands you. So, for this video, I am going to help you figure out how you can find those psychic abilities in your natal chart if you have them. So, jumping right into it, how can you find psychic abilities in your natal chart? Now, the most important element that carries these gifts, because they're so easily acceptable to this side. They're very intuitive to this. It comes easy for them. It's like their home, just their domain when it comes to being psychic. And these are the water elements: Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer. Not to say that other signs don't have psychic abilities, they do. It's just that it could be hard to activate them depending on the spirit. If you are someone that don't believe in this stuff, or maybe you experience some type of intuition but you brush it off like what a coincidence, then you're not going to be able to activate them. However, if you are someone that has a lot of water in your natal chart, you was born Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, it is much easier to access this side because it's home for these signs. Um, Pisces, Neptune rules Pisces. Now, Neptune is the planet of mystical, dreamy, spiritual, very like otherworldly planet and magic, you name it. It's Pisces is home to this. Cancer, which the moon rules Cancer, and Cancer, they're very emotional. And I have a sibling who's Cancer, so it's so funny because she's extremely emotional. However, emotions play a big part in intuition because Cancer is also tapped into sensing things. They can sense things in people and places. Now with Scorpio, Scorpio deals with the subconscious. Pluto rules Scorpio. Mars too, but more like, for me, more Pluto. So Scorpio is very, I would consider like the ruler of the underworld, deep into the subconscious, and yeah, and also dealing with the occult and all that stuff. So these signs are just really, really, it's really easy to access psychic abilities when it's home for them. So if you have a Pisces sun, a Scorpio sun, Cancer sun, if you're a Pisces rising. Now, okay, before I get ahead of myself, me, I'm gonna use me as an example. So I'm a Pisces. By the time you're watching this video, because I'm putting this out like in the beginning of March, so my birthday just passed. I was born on March 1st. I'm a Pisces. Now, when you're born with the sign, it's, everybody knows for the most part their sign, whether you're Aries, Leo, whatever. Now, when you dive deep into this natal astrology stuff, you'll realize that you'll have more than one sign in your, like, your aura. So you have a sun sign, which you're born with. So I'm a Pisces, but I also have a Scorpio moon, and the rising sign. So the rising sign is who you are. The sun sign is just the conscious level of you. The rising sign is how people perceive you. And then the moon sign is like who you are, like behind closed doors. So, me, I'm a Pisces, my conscious level of just spiritual and all that. Then I have my Scorpio moon, which is deep into like I'm deep into the unseen. I like tapping into those things. And I talk about that a lot on this channel. From time to time, I'll mention things about the subconscious. And then my rising sign is Taurus, which is a earth sign. And the rest of my chart, because you have 12 houses. So not only do you have the big three, the sun, the rising, the moon, you also have 12 houses. And the first house starts with your rising sign, but it's ruled by Aries. So it goes in order of Aries to Pisces. So Pisces rules the 12th house. But however, you can have a rising sign like Taurus. So my first house will be Taurus, but it's influenced with that Aries element. I know it's too much, but I'm gonna try to be as clear as possible. Okay, so you have 12 houses. Now, each house governs a different part of your life. Like the first house is all about self expression, and the second house is all about money and stability and all that, and so on and so forth. Now, you don't have to be born during a time of Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. You can be a Gemini and still have water signs in your aura. So it depends on how everything is placed. So getting right into this because it's a lot. Now, if you have, because not only does it depend on the different type of energies of signs that's in your 12 houses, it also depends on the placements of the planets in your houses, particularly Neptune, Moon, and Pluto. And I would say Mercury too. Mercury also. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that. So, to make this make sense, I gotta use me as an example because I have a heavy water chart. I have a lot of Pisces. I have more Scorpio than Pisces. So each planet, each asteroid, it's it has an influence of a sign. So look at these signs like energies. If these signs didn't have a name, it would just be energy. So I have a lot of planets ruled by my Scorpio and Pisces. And I also have a couple of air signs, just Aquarius. And I have like a couple of Capricorn, one Virgo, and my Taurus. I have no fire whatsoever besides Lilith. And my Lilith is in the 12th house, which is the hidden house. Crazy. So it takes a lot for me to activate that fire. However, my Taurus, because it's the bull, and I do see this within myself, I am so laid back and chill. But when I see what I want and who I want, I'm just like head on, like when a bull sees a red flag. But anyway, so I have a lot of water signs in my house. So therefore, I have so many psychic abilities. I don't even know if this is normal, but I'm going to try to break this all down. When it comes to placements, and this is the base, if you have a strong fourth house, a strong eighth house, a strong 12th house, the fourth house is ruled by Cancer, which is the emotions, it deals with family, nurturing. That's the fourth house. The eighth house, which is ruled by Scorpio, it deals with the occult. Now, the 12th house, which is ruled by Pisces, it is ruled by the mystique, the hidden, the other world, spirit, you name it. Now, if you have any placements in this house, like Neptune, Pluto, the moon, you have psychic abilities, or depending on other placements in the chart, you could be somebody that hasn't really activated yet due to maybe having a planet that's really more uh real more practical, and therefore you're the type that just brushes your intuition and whatever, like maybe you experience some type of paranormal and you just brush it off like I don't know what that was. It could be blocked. But if you have any of these planets and these placements, you are someone who has psychic abilities. Now, you don't have to have planets in these placements. It also depends how everything else in your 12 houses is placed. Like I have my Scorpio moon is in the 6th house. And that just enhances the um the house that it's ruled in. And yeah, so let me go into that because it's, like I said, it's a lot. So like I said, because I have a moon in the 6th house, it enhances that house even more. And plus I don't have any other placement there that blocks this ability that I have. So if you have like a moon in the 6th house, you have a psychic ability for healing. And mine does indicate mediumship because of other things that goes on in my chart, like conjunctions and trines, and I will get into that in another video. So if you have, say like you have one of these placements in like the first chart, like you're you have a psychic ability of like you have a self-awareness of the psychic ability and like an instant gut feeling. And so yeah, it depends on the type of house that these planets fall in, and also if you are not so easily blocked. So because of my placements, I have a lot of Scorpio, a lot of Pisces, therefore my I'm not as blocked. And I have air elements and earth in my other placements, and those aren't blocked. Those psychic gifts aren't blocked due to how strong my water is placed and where my moon and my Neptune and my Pluto is placed. So I have, according to everything that I've looked at, I have 8 psychic spiritual gifts. So I'm going to explain it real quick here. So I can't pronounce some of these words because I'm just learning them. I'm just like, what the heck? And I have experienced all of these. So I have a lot of clears in my natal chart. So the first one is clear agnosis. Clear, okay, whatever. It's I have a lot of clears. And this one is it's all knowing, and this is so true. I get a lot of flashes, a lot of downloads, and I receive a lot of like messages, and that's due to my Mercury and Mars in conjunction in the 10th house. Now the 10th house, I believe it deals with like careers and whatnot. And it does say in my path that I should be a writer, which is so funny because that's what I'm already doing. I've been doing all of this way before I even got into like astrology. So it's so interesting how I'm already following my life path without me even like realizing it, but I just always had like a knowing of things. But so I have Mercury and Mars in my 10th house, and they conjunct each other. And my 10th house is Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is a air sign. And like I said, water signs are more like acceptive to intuition and psychic abilities. Other signs like earth, fire, and air, it's not as activated like water signs. However, due to all my strong placements, my air psychic abilities are not blocked. So with this, it does give me the ability of clear ognosis, whatever how you pronounce it. And Aquarius, they're very innovative and higher intelligence, higher mind. When it's activated, you can receive downloads. It's kind of like Aquarius, they're really good at activating the Akashic records. And when I write, oh my gosh, this goes into the automatic writing. When I write, it's so easy for me to write books. I just sit down. I don't even need to think. The story just comes to me and I'm just writing. I would be at the computer for hours. I would start maybe early, like 1 p.m., daylight. I wouldn't even know that it's nighttime until maybe my boyfriend be like, hey, you need to take a break. And I look up and it's nighttime. Like, I just get that zoned in. So, yeah, so that's one of the abilities I have. The second one that I have, oh, on top of that, due to my other conjunctions. So, I'm definitely going to explain this in another video. Your conjunctions, your trines, your sextiles, even your squares. I'll explain that in another video, how all these other placements in a natal chart helps with the psychic abilities and how it can enhance it. So another thing that I have is clairvoyance, and that is where you can like see things. And I have a lot of dreams. And yeah, that plays a big part, and that's because of my Neptune in the ninth house. It trines my ascendant, which makes my energy more enhanced with like dreams. I dream every freaking night. Um, Sometimes I get visits from like my ancestors and the loved ones that passed, and yeah, that happens all the time. And then also because my moon trines Mercury, it's communication, higher mind, like the Akashic records. So I receive like intuitive messages from like symbols and stuff like that, which is true. I experience that all the time. And then plus my Pluto in the seventh house. I have a strong seventh house with Pluto, my North Node in Scorpio, and just Scorpio, heavy Scorpio in my seventh house. So clairagnosis, clairvoyance. My third is clairsentience, which is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's that clear is like you can feel things, and I've certain parts in my life I've been able, not been able, but there's certain moments where I feel like I've been touched and nobody's like near me. Um, I don't know if this plays a part, but and I even looked into this. I get a lot of sleep paralysis, but I don't think it's what like the doctors and the scientists would describe um whatchamacallit, sleep paralysis. I, I can explain that in another video because it happens like every other week where I feel somebody climbing in the bed with me and there's nobody there but me. Um, so I have this because of my moon conjunction with my trine and Saturn, my Pluto conjunction, my Scorpio North Node. And when you have a Scorpio North Node, you're meant to tap into the unseen and dive deep into the hidden parts of life. And that makes a lot of sense because I write some dark books and I be trying to write more happy things, but I can't help it. I just dive right into like the hidden things of life, things that can be uncomfortable. Um, so yeah, I know why. The next thing that I have is clairaudience, which is hearing, and I've explained this in another video that I did about having my Lilith in the 12th house. If you have Lilith in the 12th house, that's another psychic gift to have because Lilith is such a strong, powerful presence. And to have that in your 12th house, Oh my God. So I explained this in another video, but I'm explaining it here. When I was a teenager, and I still be hearing voices, and I had to look into it to make sure I'm not going crazy, and I'm not. There's such a difference. Um, when I was a teenager, I'm going to say this example. I used to hear, it would be like in between me sleeping and kind of being up. So when you're in that veil, that moment, that space and time between sleep and being up, you can hear things. And I remember I used to hear three women just talking, just hovering over my bed, just gossiping. They would just be gossiping all the time. And they would stop mid conversation and would be like, "Oh, we gotta wake her up. We gotta wake her up." And then I would wake up, and that would go on for such a long, 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 long time. And yeah, so that's one example amongst other experiences that I've had with hearing things. So, clairaudience. And that's due to like my sextile Mercury and Lilith and my Neptune and strong placements. Now, the fifth thing I have is clear lenience, whatever. Okay, this clear deals with the smell, and it's so funny. There would be moments where I would smell something that's not even there. And one of the things that will come up from time to time, so my grandmother, she passed away years ago, and she used to have this cat, and this cat used to make the apartment smell such a strong odor, and from time to time I would smell this just out of nowhere. So I kind of take it like that's my grandmother just watching over something just nearby. um yeah, it's such a strong smell. And I smell other things too from time to time, but that comes up a lot. And that's due to like my Neptune conjuncting my Pluto and all this other stuff. Six, mediumship. I didn't think I it's crazy how I didn't put two and two together. Um, I get a lot of messages and stuff from like my ancestors, and this plays a huge role with like I said, on this channel I talk about a lot of indigenous American stuff. And during my research, I always receive some type of message, whether through like a dream or like hearing. And I would have never thought that this was like a form of mediumship. So that's wild. And that's due to like my Pluto conjuncting my North Node and my Moon squaring my IC. Like the more advanced stuff that I'm gonna get into in my next video. Um, Let me try to hurry this up. So my seventh is telepathy, which is like it's downloads. Once again, it's kind of similar to what, to me it's kind of similar to the first one that I mentioned, which was claircognizance, like the knowing, the flashes, the downloads. And that's due to my sextiles and trines. And then the eighth, which is really plays a major role in the way I create my books, which is the automatic writing. Like I said, I could sit down and I don't even need to think. It just comes to me. And I get certain messages. And that's due to my Mercury conjuncting my Mars and my Neptune sextile Mercury, my Uranus conjuncting Neptune. It's just when you have these strong placements and there's no blockages. Like Saturn, the planet Saturn can block some things, but when you have strong Neptune, Pluto, Moon, and even Mercury placements, and if you have them in the 4th, 8th, and 12th house, and I would say ninth house too, because ninth house deals with like your intellect and your higher learning and the way you go about those things. I feel like the ninth too is so underrated. But if you have those placements, and if they're placed in other houses, and if it's not like blocked by challenges of other planets, then you're very easy to activate. It's very easy for you to activate that psychic ability. And for some like myself, it just comes so natural because it's so heavy in my natal chart. All right. All right, I spoken a lot, but I have to give an example. So, depending the way your placements and everything shows up, it really determines how your psychic abilities is going to activate. So, an example is my boyfriend. So, my boyfriend is a Scorpio. He is a Scorpio sun, a Scorpio rising, and he's an Aries moon. And he has so many Scorpio placements in his natal chart. He has no Pisces, but he does have a lot of Scorpio, like two Cancers, a few um, Earth, maybe like one air, and like two fires in his natal chart. And because of his dominant Scorpio placements, he's really deep into the subconscious. He's really good at tapping into people's subconscious minds. Um, a lot. It amazes me how people just open up to him and they be telling him all their like hidden secrets, everything that's hurt them in life just so much. And he's really good at hypnosis. The hypnotizing and whatnot, that deals with the subconscious. And he studies like magicians and whatnot. And I find that pretty cool. And I've seen him put people through hypnosis. And it amazes me every time when they like fall into, like, they either fall asleep or they're in such a trance. And I can't do that. Um, Another thing is I never experienced astral projection. And he meditates a lot and he has experienced astral projection. Um, Let me see. He's more deep into the underworld, the unseen, the hidden. And the reason why we do so well is because of my unseen hidden world placements in my chart. But the thing is, since I have Pisces as well, it balances it out. So I put here that he's more like, yeah, I wrote a lot. Um I'm more of a like a receiver, getting constant downloads and whatnot, and he's more of a navigator, working with the subconscious. I call him the god of the underworld because that's just how I see him. And I'm more tapped with that more spirit mystic side. And yeah, so if you're somebody who has a lot of Scorpio placements, you may experience that as well. um More of that deep subconscious, more than like having dreams and like hearing things and whatnot, because he doesn't really experience those other things that I experience. And when you have a lot of Scorpio placements, oh my gosh, their energy is all about transformation. So it can be very heavy at times because you're always going through some deep transformation, and he experiences that all the time. To sum this up, water signs can access psychic abilities more easily because it's home to them. And besides that, you can be like a Gemini or a Leo or whatever, but if you have water dominance in your natal chart, it can be very easy for you to access that. And you can access your other elements more easily due to the dominance of these water placements. And depending on whether you have strong placements with your Neptune, Pluto, Mercury, your moon, that plays a part as well. So the placements, the signs, all of that, the water elements. However, in the next video, I will get into how you can access the, like, say like you don't really have water signs in your chart. um you can still access your psychic abilities. It's just a little bit more harder, but once you become very aware of it, it would be no problem for you. And because you had to fight through it, that makes you just as strong as a psychic or medium or whatever. So yeah. And then also I will explain the trines, the sextiles, the squares, and how all of that plays a part when planets, their energies like blend together depending on the degrees. It's like mathematics. It's a science to this. It's just, like I said, it's a lot. Now, if I was you, I would get a book and write all of this down. So I've gotten this off of Amazon, and I also ordered some stickers. So I got this big old thing. I got this big old thing, and I'm gonna place these stickers on certain pages and write down certain things, like organize everything that I am learning. You know, why not? I see this as a pursuit of learning oneself. And the thing is, especially when it comes in today's society, a lot of people, they like to follow trends. They don't even know themselves too much. So, to get to know yourself more, I would use astrology as a tool, especially like I wouldn't try to become something that you're not. So, it's best to, like, for me, what made this work so well for me is that I was doing everything that my natal chart has said about myself. So when I looked into my natal chart, I was like, oh shit, like this is exactly me to the key, to the core, which is a little bit scary. So now I work with it even more so, like diving more deep into it. So I would just use your astrology chart as like a tool to tap into what you already are. Yeah. So if I was you, I would get a book, stickers if you want, and just really just dive deep into this pursuit of yourself. It makes life even more interesting when you do things like this, and take your time, because it's not a race. And yeah, and it also helps you tap into more of your higher self if you believe in all this stuff. But I hope this video helped. I'm sorry if it's too long, but it's so much to unpack. And I will come out with a part 2 and 3 of this in the next upcoming weeks.